It depends on how many people they have talk.
It's just the question and answers that kill you.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Chrissy Kohler bringing you the latest on the tropics here. Hurricane Milton rapidly intensified here on this Monday morning with a 5 o'clock advisory. It was a Category 2 hurricane. As of 11:55 this morning, 160-mile-per-hour winds, making this a very dangerous Category 5 hurricane. Those winds gusting to 190 miles per hour as it moves to the east-southeast here at about 9 miles per hour here. So this is expected to be a Category 5 hurricane as it brushes the north coast of the Yucatan Peninsula there in Mexico. And that's going to happen here in just the next couple of hours. Conditions going downhill this evening, and it is going to be there through the overnight hours through about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, impacting that north coast, the storm surge, as well as the rain, and of course the winds with that one. It is a much smaller storm than what we had with Helene. Helene was almost 600 miles across. This one's only about 160, but still big enough that it's likely going to have some of those impacts across the north coast of Mexico there. It weakens a little bit as it heads towards the coast of Florida here, expected to approach the Tampa area, possibly even a little further south as we look ahead towards about 8 o'clock Wednesday evening. But I will caution you, don't get caught up in whether this is a 3 or a 4 when it makes landfall, because either way, this is going to be a very dangerous system, especially for those areas on the south side. Because it's headed directly towards the coast, you're going to get even higher storm surge than that they had with Helene. And these are areas that got hit with the storm surge from Helene just last week. You're going to see that from areas on the south side of this storm. That's where you're going to see some of those higher storm surge, up to a foot of inundation possible, that water above sea level there. It moves quickly across the Florida Peninsula, and so by Thursday morning it's actually already out over the Atlantic waters and continues to move away to the east here. But I do think there's a possibility we could get clipped with part of this into southern parts of the South Carolina area. So this is a look at what we're looking at with the future track. For us here in the Western Carolinas, we're really being protected by this cold front that comes through on Monday. That's going to bring us a big drop in the temperatures, but it's also going to keep this system down to our south. That's what's steering it towards Florida rather than allowing it to drift further to the north into our area. But as we head into Thursday morning, some of those far outer bands, while this is likely still a Category 1 hurricane, maybe a very strong tropical storm, we're going to see some of those outer bands along the coast there from the Grand Strand down into the Low Country and even South Georgia, with some of those rain bands moving through and some of those tropical storm winds moving through that area as well. Again, stays well away from the Western Carolinas with no rain expected for us. We also have post-tropical system Kirk at this point, still seeing some of those strong winds with that. That's actually headed towards France. Not often we talk about tropical systems or post-tropical systems headed towards France, but they're going to get some tropical storm conditions there as we head into the day on Wednesday, staying well away from the United States, as is Leslie as well. Leslie is expected to weaken into a tropical storm in just the next day or so and then start to head up to the north. So even though that's kind of on a northwesterly trajectory right now, it'll eventually turn to the north and stay away from our area. So the Western Carolinas are looking good right now, where we're not expected to see any tropical impacts in the next 2 weeks. Of course, we're keeping that very close eye on Milton, thinking of our folks down in Florida, our friends down in Florida, who are still, again, recovering from Helene and now about to deal with more impacts, or direct impacts this time, from that powerful Hurricane Milton.